All right. Awesome. So
Excuse me.
I'll start kind of with myself here. Um, so this is a group. This is called Front End Creative. So it probably originally started about 2 years ago, but we stopped. I've stopped presenting for a while, but now we're gonna go to more, at least twice a month meetups. And thanks to kind of me meeting Harish, he was kind of the kickoff with me kind of branching this back out virtually. So his last talk was on quantum computing. This one will be on SEO, and then next week he'll be doing design for accessibility, and then we're kind of just going to revolve them from them there. So our cadence will be about twice a month. So my background is a designer and technologist. So right now I work for a large financial institution. There I'm the creative lead for interaction design as well as development. So beyond that, I have multiple role hats again because they're very small. So you might see me doing web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, analytics with Google Analytics. There might be things where I'm looking at campaign, doing banner advertisement, all that good stuff. So this part of the series, this will be a free version of the SEO, but I will be offering a more advanced kind of course. So that's a lot of my background as well. And then also before I was in Florida, most of my professional experience was in Silicon Valley. So I worked for a lot of Fortune 500 companies, including Google, LinkedIn, and Salesforce. And then the next person I'll pretty much introduce is the co-organizer of our meetup group, Harish. So he's a solutions architect, and I'll let him do his introduction and his spiel.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thanks, Flo, for the introduction. And my name is Harish Biram. I am a founder and CEO of Solutions UI UX, a company that was formed a few weeks ago. It's been completely active. So I'm an enterprise architect in the user interface and user experience. So along with that, we've been actively working on attracting clients, and we have fortunately a client that is working closely with us. So that being said, my passion is user interface, user experience, and then accessibility, enterprise architecture, and then now quantum computing. The reason why I'm jumping ahead into quantum computing is I want to bring that quantum computing into the field of finance and into the field of supply chain and the user experience combined along with, because there's a lot of artificial intelligence, big data, and other things, but not much focus on quantum computing because people think it's way beyond the 5 years down. But we can learn it now, and we can become better. So there's a YouTube video out there you can search, and then we can go from there. But that being said, next week, Design for Accessibility. If you are interested, please feel free to join. It'll be on LinkedIn, and we have posted on Eventbrite. So without any further ado, Flo,
All
go ahead
right,
and
awesome.
kick start. Yep.
Awesome. So again, this is SEO web traffic for your business. I do want to start by saying, so the beginning of this, we can go in depth, but it depends really. Your questions will really lead which way you go. My presentation style is very laid back, so feel free to scream, yell, or something if you have a question that really won't bother me, because I could just sit up here and hear myself talk, but I feel like the real value comes from, okay, any questions or anything that you may have. So anytime, feel free to send me a message. It's better probably to raise your hand because I don't really see the content box. So maybe Harish can check on it. But if you don't mind, and if worst case scenario, like Harish said, maybe don't share your video if you don't see a video. But like if you have any questions, just feel free to stop me at any time. So getting into this, so how I was telling you, a happenstance on SEO, I was working on one of our major marketing campaigns called Wealth in Transition. So this campaign was a really fun campaign that we got to do a lot from scratch. And just by happenstance, just by my knowledge of SEO and things that we were doing, we end up ranking for the first page on Google with the keywords wealth and transition. And then this is where I'm going to probably break down some of the things that the tactics that we use, and then we can go further in depth, because again, we were just doing light things, not like a full-blown SEO campaign, but that we had, since we weren't too busy, we had a lot of time to really focus on this campaign. What I want to share with the broader team, if anyone who hasn't had any experience with this at all, small things, small hits that you can use to increase traffic for your business. So as you see here, if you go to Google, you type in wealth and transition, you'll see Carolyn Tower Advisors comes up first. And this is kind of just a screenshot of the landing page that we did as part of this multi-level marketing campaign. So the main topics that we'll cover in this session: what is SEO? Why should you care about it? How do search engines work? What does ranking mean? How do we rank well on the SERP, the SERP, or also known as the search engine results page? And what tactics and strategies we should use. So, and lastly, we'll kind of go over some helpful tools for link building and SEO and SEM strategy. So, what is SEO? So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it refers to a bunch of techniques that help you achieve better rankings on your website's organic search results. Search engine optimization is about making your website more visible to people who are using search engines to look for your products, brands, and services. So SEO is part of a general group of marketing strategies referred to as search engine marketing. So they both cover this. Some of the tactics that you'll learn in here will cover both paid and organic processes. Right now, our focus is going to be kind of on organic. So like I was saying, this is very introductory. So I just want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable. You don't have to have prior knowledge to kind of get started with the stuff. So I kind of gave you a background of it. Now I'm going to really let you know why you should care about it. So right now, 2.8 trillion search queries are made on Google a day. So which that means there's over 88,700 searchers worldwide per second. Translation: every second that your website is not indexed on Google, you miss out on thousands of opportunities for someone to access your website, product, or content. And not only does SEO improve your ranking, making it easier to be found, but it makes a better experience for your clients. So how does search engine work? So search engines have something known as a bot or a crawler. So these programs follow links and visit websites. When they do, they index the website's content and follow links on the websites to other websites. If your site is not indexed, it will not appear in search results. And well, how do I index? Great question. So one of the easiest ways to get indexed by Google is to submit your site a sitemap or sitemap URL to the Google inspection tool. So if you have a Gmail account, you have a lot of these tools automatically. So make sure that you sign into your Gmail and just go to search and say if your website is flowdavis.com or greg.com, put it in there, and then you'll be submitted and indexed in Google. So more information on pretty much how search engines work. When a search query is being typed, the search engine looks at its index even while the information is being entered. So the results appear, and again, in the search engine results page, they are sorted based on relevance. There's over 900 different factors. Again, this can get really deep, but some of the most important factors are website's content, website structure, and internal links. The search of geographical location, so that means locally. Is it Tampa? Is it Georgia? So that's very important. Mobile optimization, so that'll go into a lot of stuff that even Harish will be talking about in his next meeting with user experience, making sure that they look good on mobile platforms. Page load times, again, more technical aspects of SEO. You want to make sure that your site is very fast because you don't want people to bounce. Server accessibility, and finally, social signals, and that would be like, again, LinkedIn shares, several other social network shares. And again, how do search engines work? And how do we rank well? So a rank is an indicator of how relevant your website is for a search term from search engines like Google. Authority: search engine determine your authority and credibility based on the content of the website. So the quality of inbound links is major in authority. Relevance is probably one of the most important ranking factors. Search engines not only detect if you're using keywords, they also look for clues of how relevant your particular search query is. So in addition to your actual text of web pages, search engine also examine the structure of the keywords in the URL, like I was talking about earlier, the formatting of the page, say if you have a bold font, and keywords appear in the title and body. One more thing I want to talk about that I think I probably skipped a little bit with search engines. So I think until you get into SEO, most people think Google just searches different websites and ranks. Google only searches its index. So if you don't have it now, I would recommend, again, like I was saying, submitting your site to a sitemap and, you know, doing a Google business page, because in reality, if you're not in their index, or if some haven't picked it up in the index, Google is not searching. So Google doesn't search the web, Google searches in index. So that's a little caveat that most people don't know. So another pro tip, again, I would say to focus on Google, because Google has leading market share with 64%, followed by Bing with 21%. Therefore, make sure your marketing efforts are towards Google. And again, this is the website that was telling me kind of happenstance fell on. So as you look in the URL, you'll see, so the first thing you can see is the title, Wealth in Transition, then the name of the company in the title. That's the keyword. Next keyword, Wealth in Transition in the URL. Next one, the very first, the H1 tag, there's a Wealth in Transition. So we have keywords and 3 high touch points of this landing page. And here we are, kind of how you would do it in the technical terms. So you see that I have the URL, again, with the keyword Wealth in Transition. We have the title that we showed you earlier with Wealth in Transition. You have the H1 with the headline, Wealth in Transition. And here in the code is pretty much how you would create it. So ignore the text center MB3 and stuff. That's more bootstrap terminology. But the title, the open and close sandwich title, that would be, again, the very title bar. And the H1 would be that very first Wealth in Transition line on the actual page itself. And wait a minute, let me stop a little for a second. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Feel free to stop me anytime. Or
yeah, I got a question.
Just something
okay.
I'm thinking about as I'm watching this is like kind of the sites I would say that take that to like an obnoxious level would be recipe sites. When you think about people that, hey, I just want to know the recipe for the chicken wings, and I got to read through 12 paragraphs of content to get down to the recipe. Is that kind of what they're doing? That it sounds to me like having the title, having the keywords is important, but just the amount of content is what's so important.
Well, no, I'm not saying the amount of content. I think that probably, I think it's still nice if you have a blog to have a page. So I wouldn't say the amount of content is but the keywords and the natural level of your content. So when you look at recipes and top 10s and things like that, those probably should have the majority of what's the call to action of what's the impact in the front. So the extra content, I'm not sure what they would need that for, but what would be impactful of, say, I had a search query in Google and I was like, hey, I'm looking for, what was I making? I haven't made in a while. Vegetarian lasagna, since I'm vegetarian now. So if they inside there, that was my search term. And I said vegetarian lasagna easy, or lasagna made easy vegetarian. Those would be things that I would, just really simple things. So you're probably dinged if it's way too long, but having the priority in the front. So that's kind of what I would recommend. So not per se wordy, but having what's priority. And then also, I'm going to get into that a later presentation, because Google changed its not being robotic. So you want to talk natural. You want to look at your keywords, but you don't want to look in a way where, okay, I sound like a bot, keyword this, or in a bunch of keywords. You just want to talk how you would naturally talk. Google uses algorithm with synonyms and stuff like that, but just look for whatever your main high touch point keyword is and just find out natural content from that. So does that kind of answer your question, Christian?
Yeah, a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, cool. And then someone else had a.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, Byron.
Yeah. As long as I've been studying on my own, I always hear the term organic search. Mm-hmm. Are there any other kind of search, and how would you explain it? And if it is, what's the difference between organic and any other kind of search?
So right now, I'm focusing on organic, and then the other types of searches would be paid. And then we also have someone else on the phone who's really good with SEO. If there's more than organic and paid, please let me know. But some of the same tactics that you can use organic, you can take those in paid search as well. The only paid search I probably have experience with is Google, but I don't do like any media buying or anything, but the same concepts that you look for in buying high touch keywords and long tail keywords, you would use that in your same paid search marketing efforts. And I believe I do have a slide that when you go to Google, it should be coming up where you see the difference between an organic search website as well as a paid search.
Okay,
keyword.
so organic would be like just someone going to Google and searching versus, AdWords, someone using AdWords.
No, I mean, so organic, when you go to Google and search, so organic search would be how you're developing the search, right? So when you go to Google, you're going to see organic and paid advertising. It's just organic is just what all the tactics that you implemented yourself that you didn't pay someone for. So
Okay.
all of these same tactics, but again, you could apply these same tactics to when you're picking your keywords that you're going to buy in Google.
Understood. Thank you.
Cool. Any more questions? And then I know Ashley, were those the only two? I just want to make sure.
No, I don't have any questions. You're doing great.
Okay. No, what I'm saying is there only organic and paid search? Those are pretty much the only two. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, to my knowledge, those are the only two that I've been working within the industry as well. Yes.
All right. Awesome. Okay, cool. Great question. So I know most of us are probably familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is like the SEO version. So the basic one, which somewhat we went over a little bit, the crawl accessibility. So that's the first thing, is where you're submitting your content, your URL to Google. There's also something called like a robots text file, but that's a little bit more technical. But if you have WordPress, they'll create that and make it linked for you. So once you have WordPress and one of those things, if you're not per se a developer, that can pretty much set up that. But the robots text is kind of like a site map and stuff for you. So having that set up, the next thing would be compelling content. So you writing content that people actually want to read, and then going more up the chain, we'll go into like how we're saying keyword optimize. Again, I would stress to go for long tail keywords, great user experience, stuff that me and Harish are all about because of our UI and UX experience. The next level up the chain, having share-worthy content. So much as you're sharing it on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that stuff is good, and having content that people want to share. So if you have a great blog with great content, making that shareable. The title, URL, and meta descriptions. And then the next part, which we won't get into here, is called schema and markup. So that would be a little bit more advanced, but Google is doing a lot more where they're actually trying to answer your questions in the console. So when you tag your HTML, there's certain schemas that you can tag to where if you ever go to Google now, you can see they actually will answer your questions inside of the console. And I'll show an example of that once we get there. Oh, and then again, SEO is a very, very broad topic. Right now, our focus for this will definitely be on on-page SEO. So we've already went over URL structure. We talked about a little bit of HTML tags, content, but there's things like keyword density, broken links. So, make sure whatever website you have that's update, because a broken link will really ding you. And again, when you have something like WordPress, that makes it a lot easier. Having anchor and alt text on your images. So that's kind of a dual layer thing that works. That's great for SEO, but not only that, it's again, it'll lean. We got so many, so you guys just have to come to Harish Talks, but it leans again to more of a Harish's talk. So screen readers and stuff like that have the ability to have it like, so someone who cannot see can know pretty much what your image is about. Again, site performance, you don't want your site to take long because the average person now doesn't have much patience. And then we have going into, again, the social, more off-page SEO, like we're saying, the social sharing, brand submission, directory submissions, people having popular people like post as guests. So those are a lot of the off-page SEO tactics. But again, we'll be focusing on-page SEO for this session. So again, we're going into meta tags and descriptions. So Byron, pretty much what we were talking about before. So if I typed in BlackRock, Google makes it very specific because they don't want to fool anybody. The first BlackRock, this description would be their paid advertising. That second one here would be something organic. So if someone paid for the keywords or paid for that spot, Google will let you know very clearly that this is a paid spot. So again, title of the homepage, BlackRock Financial Planning and Investment. The meta description is this portion here. This is the part that comes in Google. You want to make this 155 characters less. This is the main summary of your page. And here we go, what it looks like in code. So meta name, description, content, BlackRock is world's largest asset manager guiding individuals. Again, the SEO tactics. So the main overall factors, just to kind of recap, that are the main ones that you want to focus on as much as possible. Website content, make sure your site is fast, make sure it's optimized for mobile viewing, make sure the website has clean and structured links, make sure that you it's structured for geographical searches, because again, location search is very important. Server accessibility, social signals from social media, again, the LinkedIn, the Twitter, the Instagram, all of that is awesome. All right, and then I'll go in more details. So I'll show you, our keyword here is healthy diet. So I'll give you a bad title. So learn how the best diet that is healthy is very nutritious. For one thing, that's too long. Second thing, there is no keyword found. I mean, there's keyword found, but it's not in the front. An example of a great title, healthy diet secrets, right there. Great optimization, the keyword is in the front, and I think the secret is very well written, how to eat to live under $5. So again, side note, this goes on the top of every web page as well as the top as the search engine page results on Google. So space is limited. So in that limited space, make sure you have your keyword and make sure it's catchy and punchy. Another thing, tactics in the page description. So your AKA meta description, what we just pretty much discussed in code. We want it to be 155 characters or less. You want to use an actionable and written voice. You want to have a call to action, focus on the keyword, make it unique, matching the content. A great example would be Tesla. So Tesla is accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy, offering safest, quickest electric cars on the road and integrated solution. Like, beautiful description, tells me what you do. I'm enticed, I want to click there. It's only 22 words. Again, the Tesla description conveys what the company represents, what it produces, its brand value, and its ambition. So if anyone is, again, in the SEO or copywriting, it's kind of like a balance of both. You want to write beautifully, but you also always want to make where you have that call to action. Some help too. So with the headline, that's going to be kind of the main paragraph on your page. You have a little bit more wiggle room than 155 characters, but I would still use the best practices that we use for the title and the meta description. So you could kind of, these are some of the tools like headlines.sharethrough.com, AMI Institute, processheadline.co, the MIL blog, best headline analyzer. You can write something, and once you submit it to these tools, this will grade you. So it gives you, again, more things if you're like, hey, if I'm hot or if I'm cold, or maybe I should do a little bit more, maybe I should be more active, maybe I should change my tone. This really helps you when building your SEO strategy. And I'm gonna pause just a second. Is there any more? Does anyone have any other questions?
I have a quick question. When there is a paid search and an organic search, and you showed an example of BlackRock, there was a paid ad, and then there was the actual result, right? Organic result. So I have observed myself many times whenever I search something and there are 5 paid ads before, I'm automatically going to the one which is not an ad. So if it is not an ad, that's what it's like, as soon as I see an ad, I'm skipping it. I'm not even reading anything. I'm just going to the organic one. So is this a common tendency? Does anybody else in the group agree? Do they do that, or do they look at the ad ones?
I know I do, but some people are not. Again, I've been technical. I've been in it so much. I do skip the ads personally.
I skip the ads.
Oh, okay.
Same.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so again,
I used to work for what was called a domain parking company, And that dealt a lot in people doing paid traffic to their domain names. And actually, for a while there, Google was really trying to lock up on how people advertised. And so I actually had to do this thing where I basically had to review people's paid advertising campaigns and say, like, are you promising something that this site isn't going to deliver? Like, if you make a link that says the lowest prices on cars in 2020, like, well, you can't make that guarantee. Like, you could put, here are some trucks for sale, but you can't say these are the lowest prices. It was just kind of interesting to see how they had to, like, because Google had some kind of rules about basically like being honest with your ads, or as honest as you could be.
Oh, no, not a nice agree. So like, again, I already kind of just for the company that I work for now, I follow those tactics just because we're financial services company. Our compliance is strict, so we can't guarantee. I think we maybe can do somewhat testimonials, but not really. So we definitely, you can write really well in a way that you're not being, misleading or overpromising, because we can't, at least for any strategies that I do within this company alone, I cannot promise anything like that. I cannot sound promissory. So I think for me, in terms of advertising, me personally, I think maybe animated ads or some digital ads off to the side might be a little bit more objective. But like I said, I'm just pretty much like the rest of you guys. I'll skip it and go to the main organic ad. I think your paid advertising, probably you might get more bang for your buck if you just do like the Google animated ads or some other ads that are just on a site, personally. But it's having a strategy using all of them. So any more questions? All right, cool. So I'll keep going on. Pretty much here we go with the URL. And here I want to go a little further to, sometimes you see what's great, but it's nice to see what's bad too. Don't do this. So this will help you. A bad example is, okay, random thoughts 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, so random URL, it contains numbers and random string, and the search engine has nothing to do with, nothing about that. So here we are getting better. So say I at this company, we had a portfolio manager do a thought leadership piece. It's better. It's like carolyntower.com thought leadership, but the best URL was, hey, carolyntower.com election 2020 insight. So it's specific, it's your keyword, and you know exactly what you're talking about. With inside the body text of your websites or your pages or your landing pages, you want your major rule of thumb is to have your keyword in the first sentence, once or twice in the middle, and have it kind of in the last paragraph. And again, like I was saying, since Google has got very advanced with their algorithm, I would not just try to stuff keywords and be robotic. Look for a few main ones, create some natural sounding, natural content and narratives. And again, you could use synonyms. Google's got very advanced. Other things, how we were talking about images. So when you add images on your website, you want to be specific with the name. You don't want anything with just numbers. Again, like we're saying, the website or server doesn't know what to do with that. You don't want to have spaces like random space apple.com, because in code, especially in the URL, it adds a percentage 20 tag. So that may be difficult to do. Difficult to find. So this one, our keyword is healthy diet. First one is bad file name. We have numbers, we have underscores, and another random number. That is meaningless to the Google search engine, and it's also meaningless to humans. So again, it's not only about having good SEO, the same thing about having good accessibility too. So if I was blind and my only way to interact with this was to read it or have my machine read, I would have no idea what you're talking about. We can get better with average file names, whereas apples and oranges, health diet, 352. The keyword is a little bit disjointed, and it has numbers in it, but it's a lot better than, at least I know what's in here, besides the random red file name. The best name would be healthy diet for women. So it's clear and concise. And you might not know exactly what the image is, but these images are related to what is good for a healthy diet for women. The next thing I would say with images, sizes and dimensions. So this goes into the load time. And what a lot of people don't realize, another reason that's quick hit on performance is people will just upload their extremely large images. So I have that in there used for SEO. So I'll give a prime example. If you have 1920 by 1200 pixel image, but it's only going to be used in 600 by 360, resize it. Again, we're talking about the image the alt and the title. So again, as I was saying, as I've been repeating, enable this for visually impaired people that use screen readers so they can look at the alt and know what it's about. This is also good for search engines. And image titles are optional, but to me, it does make it better for a user experience, because when you have a title on the image, you have like a tooltip once you hover over them. So healthy diet for women, that would be the alt. That's what the screen reader will read, and that's what Google search engine will use it. Again, you have the great image name and the URL here. And then we have the title. So when you hover over, it's about 2 healthy women playing in the field, being happy. That's what's going on. And again, like I said, I realize everyone is not a developer. There are online tools to optimize your images. So say you just download some images, they're really big. You never want to be anything like 1 megabyte or 500 kilobytes. You probably want most of your images on the web to stay between 100 and 150 kilobytes. You could run them right through this Optimizilla compressor online, and this will compress your images for you. Same thing, getting a little bit more advanced. Again, depending if you're doing it or if you have a developer, and we do have developers on the phone. So getting more advanced with reducing your images and going beyond the alt text. When I was at BISC, I implemented lazy loading for the images. So that really sped up the website. We also hosted our images on a CDN. We had Cloudflare. Again, I spoke about this, name the images properly, resize them properly. The only thing I think I probably haven't done with this is create an image sitemap. So you guys would probably have to Google further on that, but I haven't created an image sitemap myself. But pretty much all these other things I've done. And then again, like I was saying, for those people that are not developers, if you use WordPress, there's great plugins already for this. So you could have browser caching in WordPress, you know, Comet Connect, WordPress Rocket. WordPress creates the robots text for you. They have the tabs where you can enter your alt images. Again, with the reduced side images, there might be, here's some different plugins here to kind of reduce image file sizes. And the same thing with CDNs. The CDNs, you just drop the images that you want in there and you link to the CDN instead of them having them hosted on your site. Any other questions? Cool. Well, I will look at some of,
Hello.
Oh, okay, yes.
I didn't understand the CDN thing.
Okay, let me go back to, let me share that. So CDN means, let's see if I can share this again here. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll just talk about it. But so okay. CDN means Content Delivery Network. What that means is it's just a separate site. You can go to anywhere. There might be more. I think Cloudflare.com is paid. That's the one that I've used. There's a few other ones, but all that does, instead of putting your image files, or maybe say you have some PDFs that end up really, people don't realize that, but that really is one of the main drivers that slow down a lot of people's websites, and that's low-hanging fruit. Putting in a CDN, it hosts them somewhere else and it caches them for fast browser viewing. So when it goes to your site, it'll be extremely fast. So that's the benefit of using a CDN. It's just like hosting. It's just like a data storage for your images and files without per se putting them on your WordPress website or on your own internal hosting HTML.
In my case, I use the Wix that updated. Do I have to put a link or something? I didn't understand how to connect, because I normally put high quality images because I'm an artist. Okay. But now thinking my website is gonna get very slow. This is a problem. But
Yeah, with the
I don't really know how to.
Yeah, it's been so long since I had Wix. We might have to take that offline. I know it easily on WordPress, you could probably just do a link. Wix might have something where you could just do a link, but once you do the CDM, it should give you a link to the image. But Wix, I don't know if you drop it in or something. It's been probably, forgive me, probably 20 years since I used the software. So that just might be something that we take offline and do that. But again, that's something that I would recommend, because you could still, again, you could still compress them and they still be a high quality, because the reality is you don't need any, it's not the print world. You don't need these large screens of things. It just kind of blows away your site.
Okay. And do you advise any web builder for people?
Oh no, yeah, no, finish. I'm listening.
No, because I'm not a web designer.
Mm-hmm.
So I search for something to put up my images, my website, but I don't know, maybe Wix is a little bit.
I think Wix probably is really good if you're not versed. WordPress is good, but to some people that is really complex. I think Shopify is great, and Shopify has a lot of good APIs. So if you're selling something, are you selling anything on Wix?
Not really. I use the Etsy. A link to Etsy.
Okay, so maybe a thought might be doing a Shopify. So this is me getting on another tangent, but I personally believe that it's good to host other places, but it's always, you want to always direct a person back to your website. So even with Instagram, say if something changes or Etsy shuts down, you pretty much lose all those customers. So I would recommend, if you are selling something, just go and merge it on with your site and do something like Shopify. I know you could do it with Shopify because they have quite a few APIs. So Wix has been a very long time since I used it, but Shopify has enough stuff that they might even compress your images for you.
Oh, very nice. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Cool. So we have 13 minutes here. What I will go into, if I have it open, if you guys see my screen here, let me just bring this over here. So I think I probably, I might have quickly showed some of like the tools. So we have like Google AdWords Planner, Uber Suggests, all these other things. So I think, let's see which one I want to start with. So long as you have like a Google account, you get this one for free. So I'll click and go, or maybe I need to just copy this here. So let's go to Keyword Planner here. I apologize, guys. I have a lot of firewalls on this. my computer is actually fast. It's just these firewalls running. So let's cover new keywords. So this is where I ask for some participation. So who besides Tati, or it could just be Tati, that's fine. Who is selling like a product here? So we can get some real world experience examples.
I am.
Okay. So what product are you selling?
I sell clothes.
Okay, so what do you think people kind of type into, like, in terms of clothes?
That's the thing for mine. I'm not too sure what kind of searches would lead to mine. I've been using Instagram as a sales funnel.
Okay, so what kind of, is there anything specific about your clothes? Because you know your brand, so tell me about your brand.
Yeah, so it's apparel for Latinos. It expresses our heritage and career experiences in tech.
Okay, so I'll start a little bit. So maybe I'll say something like culture, maybe there we go, ethnic clothing. Let's see what we have going on here. So ethnic clothing, ethnic wear. So this is another one. So Google Keyword Planner, right? So so again, this works twofold, right? You can take time and you can go into more of the the which is not my strong suit. I'm more in just the SEO organic stuff, but you can really go through and do cost click analysis and all this stuff. But when you do, whether you're doing it organically or you're doing paid search, you never want to go high, and you never want to go to where the searches are very, very low, because when it's high like this and it's 100, that means these will be very expensive and it'd be very hard to kind of reach. You want to stay in between the realms of something medium and kind of low, but with a higher search volume than this. There is one more thing that I use. So this is called answerthepublic.com. And let me just start again. So the cool thing about answerthepublic.com, it tells you, you can say something small. So let's say I put in close, and it'll give you things that other people are saying if it'll let me type here. So close, and this is very general. So another thing you want to, again, like I said, we could talk forever on this, but you want to go as much as you can long tail keywords, because very general, broad keywords are very hard to search for and to rank on.
Okay. Yeah, some of the ones that I was kind of focusing on are like Latinx.
Oh, okay, Latinx and stuff like that.
Latinx brands.
So this one would go in with some of the questions. So these are actually real searches that people are typing in, right? So who, which, where, how, can, what, clothing. So let's see, what clothes suit me? What clothes shops are open? What clothes should I wear? What clothes size am I? What, these are kind of the what. Mm-hmm. And then let me go to something like, so even in Google itself, so it's just really knowing how to use the tool, right? So in Google itself, I can say something like, my first thought was, where can I find ethnic clothing? If it will load. So you see here how it already kind of gives you certain things to clothing, maybe say Latin. And they have kind of like, these are some of the ones that, and this is me, again, completely random. So what you have some of the people that are, and then another thing I could really go on, you can copy who's doing well, right? So say Latina fashion in America trends outfits. So I'm gonna put in this domain, and then here's another one, kind of at Neil Patel. I follow him a lot, so he's a great person. Just follow him in SEO. He runs Uber Suggest and all. Again, you can have a paid plan, but you get a lot from free having a Gmail account. So this is just a free account here. So this is Latina.com. So that talks about how their organic keywords is ranking amazing. You could actually like spy on what they're doing and look at stuff that, okay, this is kind of, so this is just Latin.com just in general. So Latin, Latinas, so all that, they probably have a lot of money because these look like really, general keywords that they're ranking high on. So yeah, so I think we're at a good space, because again, like I said, we can go on and on forever on SEO, but any questions or any other like forms, any links that you guys would like to see that I don't mind sending out to the broader group, or even putting it in the chat. And yeah, if any other things that you feel like further that you would like to get from this, like in terms of like your business, feel free to speak. Oh, I guess that means we went good. All right.
Thank you, Flo. That was an excellent presentation. I've learned a lot. I have not focused on SEO at all. This is my first time listening into an SEO strategy, tactics, and how it happens behind the scenes. Probably everyone else is more familiar. I was like, it's perfect course for somebody who has no idea what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah, and yeah. And then what I like about it, I feel like most of the things, like, again, when you get into image compressor, it's different because me and you are developers, but like most of the stuff are really, you don't have to be a developer. You can just hit and really rank yourself up just natural. And again, another step I didn't talk about, these same tactics, use the same thing for YouTube too. So YouTube title, Name your YouTube video the same way. Give it a good description. So these same principles, and again, Google owns YouTube. So these same principles take this to a variety of everything, even Instagram. If you, I would recommend even use it with the Instagram, your hashtag. Again, I'm not super strong at Instagram, but I know they follow a lot of the same principles. I have quite a few friends that are, and I don't mind sending those links out as well. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, if there's not any more questions, I want to thank you all for kind of joining. I think I should have, if not, if you guys can, you know what I will do? I will put my email in the chat because I don't know if I have everyone's email. So if there's anything, any workshops you want or anything you want to learn, just feel free to shoot me an email. And I can definitely provide you with some tactics or quick little checklists for you guys to be like, hey, I'm doing this right. I got the images, I got the titles, I got the description. I'm on the way to, growing SEO. And what's lovely about SEO is like, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So once, it might take a while for you to grow and build these tactics, but once you do, the results last forever for your website. So.
Yeah, follow Flo on LinkedIn. She posts content regularly over there, and she is very active on LinkedIn as well. So Flo Davis, right?
Yep, Flo Davis is on LinkedIn. And then lastly, next week, Harish, Design for Accessibility. He's really good at that. So he did it for a broader group, and then he's going to do it for us next week. So I really love the talk. I learned a lot about accessibility and really, thinking about people that are just beyond yourself, that have impairment, making the web easier for them as well. So it's